Geico presents sharing versus oversharing. Yesterday, Cliff Sora shared a top 10 list of hot fusion restaurants, a vegan gluten-free mashup recipe, and a podcast featuring organic food trends. Oh, TMI, too much internet information. That's oversharing. Cliff, Geico has something worth sharing with your friends. Like how on Geico.com you could save hundreds on your car insurance, update your policy, and report a claim. Gluten-free info that's easy to swallow. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Blog Talk Radio.
Well, am I muted? Technical difficulties. Technical difficulties is in the house as always. We can't have a Yellow Caution Flag Racing radio program without having Mr. Technical Difficulties show up. Unfortunately, I think we're down a host. No word from Damion at this point in time, but we'll go ahead and move it along. Well, y'all know what time it is. I said it the first time and wasn't on the air quite yet, so it's been a long time. It's been a while since I've did my own show. This should be the fourth season now for Yellow Caution Flag Racing Radio. We partnered up with 110 Nation. I want to thank Jason and Mr. CJ Sports and all the crew over at 110 Nation for giving us the Dirt Track Hour, the Dirt Talk Hour. Yeah, I better get that right. But I do appreciate all of you. How you doing, Jason? Are you there with me, man?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm doing fine. I was just kicking back and enjoying getting an opportunity to at least be on the debut of the Dirt Talk Hour, so very excited about that.
Yeah, definitely. We've had a lot of plans in going into this. It's the new season now. I mean, I tell you what, it may be the new season, but Davenport has showed that he has not. He wasn't a one-year fluke. I think he's won 3 races already this year. That's Jonathan Davenport, of course. He went out there to the USA Raceway, the Wild West Shootout, and I guess basically just turned them out there. Lucas Oil, they'll start their racing up here in 2 weeks. They'll start their season off, kick it off at the Golden Isle Speedway over there in Georgia. We've got some good friends over in Georgia. We want to give a shout-out to SouthGeorgiaRacing.com, Mr. Mark Dahmers. I know he's going to have his hands full this year. He's a good friend of ours from South. It's SOGA Racing.com. He's a good friend of ours over here at YellowCautionFlag.com. But if you get a chance and you're anywhere near the Golden Isle Speedway, that would be the 6th, 7th, maybe the 5th, 6th, and 7th. So let's get you a confirmation on that exactly, so we're not giving you out any wrong news out here. We're just glad to be back on the radio waves. We were supposed to have a co-host, Damion. Being from the Midwest, he is MIA right now, so we'll try to get the feedback on that here in just a little bit. But we promised you guys a show, and I tell you what, we're going to have us one. We also met somebody today who could be a spammer. Her name was Cassandra Jenkins. She knew a little bit about dirt track racing. A couple of people said that maybe she was a spammer. We upload them to our very popular group, Dirt Track Racing, on Facebook. And so if we sent her the number out. We're waiting to see if she'll call in here and get an interview from a fan, but also somebody who may be a potential spammer. But, like I said, spammers need social lives too. So actually the dates on the Golden Isle Speedway is the 4th, 5th, and 6th, and then on the 8th and 9th and 10th, they'll head over at 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, all the way through the 13th. The 8th through the 13th, they'll be at the 40th Annual Winter Nationals at East Bay Raceway Park down in Tampa, Florida. So, guys, we're kicking it up to Speed Weeks. One of my favorite, it's not dirt, but one of my favorite races of the year coming up is next weekend, the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona. It's just a classic. It's been around a long time, and it really gets me motivated that, we're real close to race season and the kickoff of it. Some of these guys out there, they race year-round. It's been racing year-round this year. Basically, it's been 3 to 4 races almost every month since what we would call the official closeout of the season in late October. So they had a great turnout. I think over 300 cars at the Talladega Short Track, the Ice Bowl. So the 25th Annual Ice Bowl was a huge success. There was cars lined up 5 miles down Talladega Speedway Boulevard. I tell you, it was definitely a sight to see. So, as a lot of you know, I'm Chris Creighton. I run yellowcautionflag.com. We're big time involved in dirt track racing. We have some other places that we go in and out of, and in the wintertime we try to get involved in almost anything that we can keep our hands on to stay busy. So if you see yellowcautionflag.com tagged on things, well, that's just us advertising the name. We've been around for about 4 or 5 years now, and like I said, this is the 4th season for us on the radio. A lot of you guys are long-time listeners. Tammy Davis, a shout-out to you, girl. What's up? I know you listening, girl, and you always have. We're going to bring a variety of drivers from all around. I'm not sure if Damien's going to be the co-host, man. What do you think? Should we have a vote? I mean, Jason, I hate to no call, no show is the way I kind of feel about it, but hopefully we won't be spreading too much business. Hopefully Damien's okay, first of all, and then second of all, maybe he'll give us a call here before the show's out to let us know that everything's cool. If not, we will move this show on. I want to be a part of this racing group and this radio station at least through the end of August or through the beginning of August when all the big races kind of start up. Maybe in search for some co-host help as well. So, if you're a good interviewer, I may get you to come on board with this and help us out with these busy phone lines. I know your phone lines are blowing up over there, right, Jason? I mean, we got callers all over the place already, right? Everybody's glad to hear us back on the radio. He's giving me a thumbs up, so we're not going to really take very many callers tonight. If somebody has a special interest, make sure that you either send us an instant message or tag the Facebook. We are social media. We're using social media right now. I tell you what, technology is great for us and really helping us move things along and better racing. I've read several articles. I'm a big-time reader. I love magazines. I've read a lot of Speedway Digest, Dick Bergeron, and I read several articles about how social media is possibly hurting racing, and it can be used that way. A lot of us try to use these platforms as a way to keep racing positive. I think that we screen a lot of our drama before it comes through the door. We like to keep it clean over here at yellowcautionflag.com. Give people the news. So we're going to give y'all plenty of opportunity to profile drivers, dirt track drivers from basically anywhere. We'll try to go out there and get a few big names throughout the season. Maybe if things go well after August, we'll keep things going on with the show. We get real busy with our media team as big races start ramping up around the Southeast starting in August. So we'll do everything we can to stay on the radio waves as long as possible. And just, once again, shout out to 110 Nation for giving us this opportunity. I think some other news that we probably should pass along, the Neesmith Banquet it was supposed to be held this past weekend up in Dawsonville, Georgia, for, I believe, the top 10 finishers of anybody in the Neesmith Street Stock Division and the Crate Late Model Division. Unfortunately, Mega Storm Jonah canceled that event, and they had to reschedule. Now the rescheduled date for the Neesmith Points Banquet will be February 20th. So we've got news on that already. We'll go over here to the Late Model Racer page and give you some fill-ins on how the races have gone since we've been off the air. Donald McIntosh opened the year up on January 1st. He won down at 411 Motor Speedway in Seymour, Tennessee. Don O'Neill won the second race of the year, January 9th in Tucson, Arizona. Talladega Short Track's David Brennan won on January 10th. Also on January 10th, Jonathan Davenport took his first win of the season. He backed it up on the 13th at USA Raceway in Tucson. Then Don O'Neill got him one, Daryl Lanigan. And on the 17th of January, Jonathan Davenport sealed the deal again. So that's 3 wins already for the Davenport crew. I'll tell you what, that 6 car is on fire. A lot of guys thought that the change with the Lucas Oil Late Model Series rules was going to make a big difference, and Jonathan Davenport and his crew chief have come out and said, we are fast. So great way to start the season for those guys. Already great to see Don O'Neill and Daryl Lanigan up in the victory lane. Looking for big years from those guys. And the next race for the late model event will be at Boyd Speedway in Ringgold, Georgia on January 23rd. And then they'll go to Bubba Raceway Park the 28th through the 30th for this month of January. So a lot of great racing already began. Like we said, we're a week out from the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona, and it's speed weeks after that. We'll be rolling right on into the 2016 race season. Hattiesburg Speedway has announced they'll have a swap meet next Saturday. That'll be January 30th. Come on out to Hattiesburg Speedway and enjoy some great company. Bring your parts and tools, and maybe you can trade up with a few of your friends. I don't believe it's going to be any charge for this one, so make sure you bring plenty to trade off and save your bite to eat and they're at the track. And make sure you buy food from those concession stands, as they're giving y'all a great place to trade your parts and commune with the rest of the racing community. Hattiesburg Speedway was announced as Promoter Track of the Year for 2015. That's big news for Donald Parker and the whole staff over at Hattiesburg Speedway, including myself. I'm the announcer over there. Do a lot of inside, under the radar work with Mr. Donald Parker, working hand in hand to keep Hattiesburg Speedway on everybody's mind. Also, I do a track announcement at Wyandotte Motorsports Park, Rodney's House of Hook. The action track of the South, of course, is what a lot of people know Wyandotte Motorsports Park to be. They've announced their schedule. I think the first race of the year is going to be March 12th. It's going to be the Battle of the States. This is the 3rd annual Battle of the States, guys. If y'all haven't been a part of this big-time event, there's $1,000 going to everybody, at least $1,000. I think it's the Outlaw class, the Outlaw Street Stocks, Mini Stocks, Modified, Crate Lake Models, Street Stocks, and Hot Shots, and I think I'm leaving one out, guys. If I'm leaving one out, y'all go ahead and get me for that one. But it's going to be the 3rd annual Battle of the States this year. They are going to be racing for a World Wrestling Federation belts, y'all. That's what I'm talking about. I'm going to come up in there with some Ultimate Warrior face paint on for this time event, because if we're going to be giving out championship belts, I think that I should be dressed like a wrestler. Give us an idea of what you think, and we hope that y'all are all out for the Battle of the States March 12th. Also, an announcement from Wyandotte Motorsports Park earlier today. We've seen that they have announced a Southern Crate Lake Nationals race that's going to be held May 5th. It's at Rodney's House of Hook at Wyandotte Motorsports Park, the action track of the South, out of Wyandotte, Mississippi. Jackson Motor Speedway, big news from Jackson Motor Speedway guys. Lance Walker and his wife, and I do believe some other co-partners, have joined together. They have purchased the leasing rights or purchased the speedway. They are the new promoters of Jackson Motor Speedway. If I've said that wrong anyway, I'm once again very sorry. Going off the notes I have right here. But anyway, so they've taken over Jackson Motor Speedway. They have increased the schedule. I think that they're racing over 17 races this year. A lot of big-time events, a couple of 2-night events on their schedule. So it's going to be a lot of great racing in southeast Mississippi. Also, on the announcement sheet, Bill Stewart and another partner with him, Bob, have announced their partnership to reopen St. Tammany Speedway down in Louisiana. They've renamed it the LA36. There's news and announcements coming out from them almost every other day or so. So if you've not already liked their Facebook page, please go over to LA36 Speedway and like that Facebook page and tell them Yellow Caution Flag sent you. Also, another big-time announcement, J.D. Wells and Derek Long are promoting the Deep South Speedway down in Loxley, Alabama. Another Deep South, another southeastern racetrack. It's actually a big track, too, guys. They're going to be running some outlaw cars. They're going to be running some big series races. I think they got the Southern Creighton series, Southeastern Creighton series. That's going to be running some events down there as well. Of course, that was a series Monty Skinner and J.D. Wells started a few years ago. Last year, I don't believe they raced any races, but they're back in action again for this season. I've heard some announcements as well for some super late model races in the state of Mississippi. I'm not ready to announce anything yet, but I do know that there's going to be plenty of super late model racing down here in the state of Mississippi. So, we've burned about 20 minutes here, Jason. It looks like we may not have Damion on the show here tonight, and it's kind of sad. Kind of upset that I don't have anybody to interview me. I've been doing this racing thing for about. I know it all of a sudden got sad. Hey, give me some sad music here, okay? Because it's going to be like the story of my life for the next 40 minutes. Are y'all ready? Are y'all ready? Are y'all really ready? But no, I hope not, guys.
What age did you get into racing, Chris?
Well, it has been rumored in my family that my first Daytona 500 was February of 1981. I believe that I spit up all over my dad when Dale Earnhardt took the lead. Back then, it wasn't cool to like Dale Earnhardt now, so don't be getting mad at me, all you number 3 lovers. I'm there with you as well, but it was just a rumor, and I can remember the first race that I remember, Jason. The first race that I really remember, I believe, was the Ronald Reagan when he landed at Daytona in '84. I remember a little bit of that race, and I remember my dad taking me to the dirt tracks a little bit. We probably did that up until, well, off and on, all the way up until about '94. But I was always a big fan, and Jason, growing up as a kid, my dad, he drove a truck, so he'd drop me off some Winston Cup scenes, and I'd lay in the floor for 2 weeks and read every article 15 times. You really couldn't get a hold of a lot of dirt news back then. I wasn't in a place to where I felt, where it was available, so I really didn't have very many dirt track magazines or anything like that, but racing's always been a kind of a passion, Jason. I think that in anything in my life, I've always been very competitive. I used to be in ROTC, and that was a very competitive class, and we would run the mile, and I would always try to outrun everybody, not from the start, but I would try to out-endure you, let you get a good fast lead up there, and then try to beat you at the end. I've always been real competitive. I'd go out there in the yard on a four-wheeler or a bike, and I'd have me a track in whatever place we were living. Any woods you could find, I'd turn it into trails. I just always liked the fast life, Jason. I tell you, it's racing has been a getaway for so many of us, and a lot of it, go ahead.
It's funny because our worlds are so much alike, but yet so much different. I experienced my first Daytona not till 2011, so 30 years after, when Trevor Payne put Wood Brothers back into victory lane. Now, my first race was '95 when Gordon won his first championship when the season ended at Atlanta. But growing up, I didn't get to go to the dirt track. I got to go to the asphalt tracks. We had 2 local tracks to us here where I was located at in Ohio, Killcare and Shady Bull. Around the Columbus area, we've had Allie Kern and Megan Rittenauer on our show that they both have run there as well. And then and the competitive nature, you speak that, which I was kind of chuckling because I can remember on the days that it would rain or if somebody washed their car and there was a nice little stream going down the middle of the road, we would get grass and have little grass races going down the stream of water. Or if we didn't have that, we would line up Matchbox cars at the top of the driveway and let them race down the little slope driveway we had. So it's just humorous to me because it's much more alike in so many different ways.
Right, and I think that that kind of competitiveness, you as you get older, you may have liked baseball or football as a kid or whatever, but as you get older, it's kind of like the race of life, man. And anything that you do, you try to be faster than somebody. You try to be, and that's where the real race junkies, I think, come into play here, because once you kind of have that in you, there's only one sport that I know that really just allows you to exuberate that type of passion, and that's racing, whether it be dirt track racing. A lot of people get on to me, Jason, and they're like, well, you like all kinds of racing. Well, that's because I just love the sport, period. You could be out there on lawnmowers racing, and I would be the fan of there going, go, Johnny, go. But it's definitely it's been a great ride in the dirt track business. I actually met a friend, and we had known each other for quite a while. I was working at a service station and told the guy, man, him and his dad were announcing up, why not? I kept telling him for years, man, I'll do anything. I'll come up there and flip burgers as long as I can get in the track. And so he come to me, I think in 2011, and said, look, me and my dad are thinking about building a car again and getting back full-time in racing, and can you talk? I mean, I know you can talk. I was like, sure. So I showed up the first day, and man, I got up in that announcer stand, and I was like, okay, Chris, don't be scared. I didn't know very much about dirt track racing where I was at. My wife and I would bring the kids, and we'd sit over in turn 2 for 2 or 3 races out of the year just to be a part of the sport. But I didn't know drivers' names and stuff like that. Jason, I got up in that announcer's booth, and I told everybody that I was about as greenhorn as you could get, and I was going to do the best that I could, and I was going to read names. And let me tell you something, I messed up so many times, but it was okay. They weren't expecting anything more, and I had a good time with it. I think one of my initial phrases was, "Oh, if he goes around over there, maybe he dropped the cell phone up underneath the seat." So I didn't really have much to work from, but I still put out, and I was scared to death for 3 or 4 months there in the first part of the season that they were going to find somebody better than me, and they just stayed with it, and I kept improving and kind of building Yellow Caution Flag up as I become an announcer. And the one thing that has probably changed my life more than anything is meeting and getting personal with so many of these people in the racing community and in the dirt track community. The racing community opens their arms up for people who show the passion that dirt track is more than a sport, it's your life. I think when you come in and you have that kind of passion in a sport, no matter where you come from or what you've done before, people take notice of that passion. And I think that they kind of, where they would have probably run a professional down the road and he had been the laughing stock of the community, they embraced me and my mistakes. I've made many mistakes in this business, and I've probably apologized for even things that I didn't necessarily mean to do, or definitely wasn't trying to do. As a matter of fact, Jason, it was so bad one time. This is one of the curses of me. Of course, we started the show out with technical difficulties. Every radio show I've ever done, we've always had Mr. Technical Difficulty. Give us a ring, but this certain situation was, it was one of those deals where it was late one night and a driver won, and I kept trying to figure out who this driver was. I'd never seen him before personally. And so they were all down in Victory Lane, and my photographer took the picture. And so it's showing the picture of a driver, leaning up against the winning car. So I put two and two together and said, okay, well, this is the guy. And because he's standing up against the car, he's got a big smile on his face. Well, I posted it on Facebook and tagged the guy, and sure enough, it wasn't him. It was another driver. And that was a very embarrassing moment because, you're giving shout-out to the driver who won the race, and it's a picture of the guy who finished third. So I got blasted for that one. It was hard. I took it like a champ. I think I did. I didn't quit. I took it as a lesson learned. Don't try to push something out at 4:00 in the morning if you don't really know what you're doing. But like I said, these guys in this community, they've taken my faults, they've taken the lack ofs, and they've embraced it. A lot of people have been excited that we were back on the radio. I think a lot of our listeners actually went over and listened last year when we did the show with Steve. That was a great ride, too, I tell you. We got to have some awesome interviews with some great people, not just dirt track people either, all kinds of racing. To go back and listen to some of the big sweat shows that we did there toward the end of the year, probably were classics. I mean, you can go back in 20 years and listen to them. It was just a great ride working with Steve and all, and being a part of this network, and it's gotten us to here. And I guess we'll put out a looking for a co-host sign, a help wanted sign. What do you think, Jason? Should we leave the door open to bring in a co-host? I'd like to have a co-host for this show. I think it kind of keeps things moving along.
Yeah, it does. It makes life a lot easier.
Definitely. I got a lot of friends out there. So if y'all are listening tonight, and I think that maybe you bring some help to us, just give me an instant message. Douglas, Mark, all you guys out there may have an opportunity for y'all if y'all would like to be involved in this radio show. I just, like I said, Jason, the dirt track community has been very generous to us, and we look forward to being on the airwaves here for the next 8 months at least. And if you want to be on the show and you already want to set your time up, you can get a hold of me or Jason. Are we going to have Miss Lee working on some contacts with this show as well, Jason?
Yeah, she's been having an internet situation, so she's kind of been MIA, but I think they're getting all that worked out.
All right. And guys, first thing first, 110 Nation is a growing radio network, and, of course, Yellow Caution Flag, y'all have watched us grow from just a couple of kids out there making snapshots to where we are today. So we'll build this show. I've got a committed partner right here with us, with Jason. Just like tonight, he's co-hosting. I told him I had it. Don't worry about it. We'll roll with it. But he's been committed to bringing a great product aboard, and Jason needs a lot of shout. I know you go by Mr. CJ Sports out there on the radio, but when you're the producer of my show, Jason, it's I have to I relate to you by what your real name is. So when he's out there on his own show, he is Mr. CJ Sports, and I tell you what, y'all give him a listen. Tell us a little bit about this radio station, Jason, and the shows and all that are on here. We've got a little bit of open time with Damion not being on tonight.
Yeah, we got the 110 Nation Morning Show. We do Monday through Friday from 9 to 10 p.m., 9 to 10 a.m. To kind of get you guys' day started off on the right foot. Just an hour of just sports talk, just you guys an opportunity. We'll get you guys updated what happened the night before and some of the hot topics. And then we got the 110 Nation Sports Show Monday through Friday at 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Gives us an opportunity to get a little more in depth. We have a lot of great guests. Miss Lee does a phenomenal job of booking our guests and keeping up with them. And I know we got Dylan Martin coming on Tuesday night already. And then, of course, we got Izzo, our NHL expert, joining us Tuesday night as well. So looking forward to that. Thursday nights at 9 o'clock, we have Racing with Big Sweat. Steve Billmeyer, been around the sport for many, many years. He's bringing back Sam Edwards with him and looking forward to having them back on. And then also on Sunday nights at 7 o'clock, we have the Happy nights at 7 o'clock, we have the Happy Hour Garage. We picked up a show that we're re-syndicating on our network, giving these people an opportunity to grow their viewership, and also giving us an opportunity to use more of the time that we have that we're paying for. And we got a couple of the shows that are in the works that we're hoping to bring on the network and rebroadcast a couple great shows. I've had an opportunity to listen to a few shows and really enjoy myself and hoping to bring that to our listeners.
Yeah, that's right. And I tell you, we continue to grow over here at 110 Nation, and watch out. You know, there could be a new show busted out next week. The radio show, I did listen to the Steve Meal from the show last week, the Happy Hour talk show, and let me tell you something. That was a great interview. I enjoyed every minute of that. That just shows the great pieces that are coming out of this little radio group right here. I do need to make an announcement. Somebody sent us something here. The 2016 Neesmith Panhandle Challenge Series will be contested with 7 races scheduled at Flomaton Speedway in Flomaton, Alabama, 6 races scheduled at Southern Raceway in Milton, Florida, and 4 races scheduled at Northwest Florida Speedway in Baker, Florida. The season will run from March 26th through September 24th. Southern Raceway will open the 2016 Neesmith Panhandle Challenge Series season on March 26th. They will host the races again on April 23rd, June 11th, July 9th, August 13th, and then the final race of the 2016 Neesmith Panhandle Challenge Series open on September 24th. Flomaton Speedway will represent the 2016 Neesmith Panhandle Challenge Series races on April 9th, May 14th, June 18th, July 16th, and August 27th. They also have a pair of tentative races scheduled for May 30th and July 4th. One of those races could be co-sanctioned with the Neesmith Chevrolet Dirt Late Model Series National Touring Division. So that's a little bit of okay. Well, did we go over all 3 of them? There it is. The quartet of the 2016 Neesmith Panhandle Challenge Series races scheduled for Northwest Florida Speedway are set for April 30th, June 4th, June 20th, and September 10th. Now, guys, the reason why we want to go over this is because you think, okay, well, Neesmith has another series. Let's explain that real quick. Flomaton and Northwest Florida Speedway and Southern Raceway, I think Southern's the only one that has a full-time crate late model division. I do know that Flomaton doesn't normally have a crate late model division, and I'm kind of for sure that Baker doesn't as well. So what the Panhandle Series is going to do is it's going to bring crate late models to the racetracks that don't normally have their own racing division. They'll actually get the opportunity now to race a few races at a couple of these historic tracks. Flomaton is a great track. We've been down there with the Mississippi Street Stock Series back in 2014, and I tell you what, some great racing down there in Flomaton, Alabama. So we're kind of in a little triangle in that area. So those guys, those local crate cars can get together and race every weekend, or just about race every weekend. I think 17 races is what we said that series is going to run. So big announcements there from Neesmith. I think Mississippi Street Stock Series, I believe they have announced their schedule. Unfortunately, we were sad to see that the Mississippi Street Stock Series will not be at Flomaton this year. As a matter of fact, they will not leave the state of Mississippi. I think that they have the 4 tracks here that they will be represented at. Let's see. They have announced their schedule. On March 12th, they'll be at Wynot Motorsports Park for the 3rd annual Battle of the States. $1,500 to win, $150 to start. Then April 30th, they'll be up at Greenville Speedway up in Greenville, Mississippi. That's North Mississippi. They'll be there for June 17th and 18th, finally returning back to the historic speedway on the Mississippi River there. I think that it's been since 2013 that they've been to Greenville, so they'll be making a big-time return there. Magnolia Motor Speedway, the Clash of the Mag, they'll be there for July 1st. Greenville Speedway on July 2nd. Then they'll be down at Jackson Motor Speedway for July 23rd. Wynot Motorsports Park for September 3rd. They'll close out the season October 7th and 8th that's October 7th and 8th at Magnolia Motor Speedway, September 3rd at Jackson Motor Speedway, and July 23rd at Wynot Motorsports Park. So kind of got a little ahead of myself there, but that is the tentative schedule for the Mississippi Street Stock Series. They've been around. This will be their third season in action. They've had Trey Bright, who's won Calvin Cook, who's won the championship 2 years in a row, and then finally last year, Brooke Strength broke in as the champion for the series. So a few less races on the schedule. They're not going to go to Flomaton, Alabama, but they did add Greenville, and they lost Hattiesburg Speedway. Also, a big-time announcement, if you did not hear the Street Stock Nationals on the event list, that is because it is no longer a sanctioned Mississippi Street Stock Series race, nor a Neesmith racing race. Rodney Wing and the great staff over at Wynot Motorsports Park have taken the reins of the race. 97 Street Stocks showed up last August at the Southern Street Stock Nationals. They're expecting more cars this year. That wasn't counting factory stocks, guys. That was just Neesmith sanctioned street stocks. 97 cars, guys. It wrapped the whole racetrack, the 3/8 mile red dirt oval. I mean, there was cars everywhere, 4 wide. Of course, we didn't start all the cars on, in a race. They had to work themselves through heat races. But I tell you what, Jason, they talk about the Southern Nationals, and they talk about the Knoxville race, the one up in Iowa, the big open wheel modified race that they have over there that's like 5 days long. What Rodney Wayne's got going on at Wynot Motorsports right now with the Southern Street Stock Nationals, Jason, is almost this could be as big as the Iowa deal. Every year they've increased the cars, and this year they almost doubled the cars. Well, from the 2015 season, at the rate that they're going, they could have 150 cars this year of street stock cars. Before too long, you'll have to just be racing strictly street stock cars, and it'll be a race that lasts from Thursday all the way through Saturday. I tell you what, if Rodney Wing keeps growing this thing like he is, the Southern Street Stock Nationals will be a main event for everyone to see. It is completely awesome when you see that 3-wide start of some of the best street stock drivers in the nation for that 40 to 50 lap event. One of the best races of the year, and you can find that right there at Wynot Motorsports Park. Jason, what else you got on the list here, man?
You're naming off a lot of different tracks and a lot of different dates. I've got to know because you're the key focal of this show. So the listeners out there, I'm sure they're scratching their head like I am. How often or how many races do you go, or how many tracks do you go in a week, and then also in a month? It seems like you managed to bounce around to a lot of different tracks.
Well, I think in 2013 we visited a total of 6 different tracks. We did about 45 races. 2014 was a little bit. I think we hit 4 to 5 tracks that year. Did right around 60 races. I think last year we did a total of right around 45 to 50 races. Basically every weekend from March to October, you'll find us at a racetrack. Now, the last year we did things a little bit different. We did not travel around. We basically stayed between Hattiesburg Speedway and Wynot Motorsports Park. It made it a little bit easier to pump out. We got into a rhythm of where we were going to be at. We actually had a little bit more time off last year. But financially, I think that things are growing for us, and hopefully we'll be able to hit the road again. It was sad to cancel our 2015 track tour. There was a lot of things that we kind of weighed into last year. I think this year things are a little bit more, the opportunities there for us to do a lot more things. But there again, we were also a part of 2 great historic situations. First of all, Hattiesburg Speedway was a track that was not recognized as one of the greatest tracks around, and it had been for a long time. And so being a part of Donald Parker's success since the 2014 season when he took the racetrack, for him to be promoter of the year. It's a reflection back on our company and also the growth that Wynot Motorsports Park has had. So kind of centralizing between those two tracks and kind of building off their success and kind of just working as a team effort to make sure that we're bringing as much entertainment as possible and highlighting these tracks as much as possible. I think it really worked for our enterprise. We've had several calls this year, Jason, from people that wanted to see if they could book us. We're actually weighing a few options and maybe doing a couple of events that don't necessarily have to do with dirt track racing. We've had a few phone calls from some motocross events and some other things like that. So no telling where you'll see us. We really turned the key, Jason, where we've gotten more into the promotion side, and that's really important because we don't own these racetracks, but we are a key benefit to the success of these racetracks if you run your operation that's ran an establishment like mine. In other words, you got to really be out there to help these guys. You got to know them. You got to be able to take that phone call where Chris or whoever, maybe that's not representing the track that well. Let's do it Let's do it a different way. So before you go jumping in and thinking that you're going to help sell tickets at racetracks, make sure that you've talked to the track owner and you build a relationship with them. And who knows, you may be the next yellow costume flag. But definitely speak with the track owners or the promoters and get stuff like that approved first. There's been a lot of guys that have come in and they see that we're sharing stuff, so they do it, and it's great for racing. It really is. But before you represent yourself as being a part of the track, make sure that you've actually tied into the track and get to know the people that you say you're working for. I think that there's a lot of opportunity for people, and they have no idea how to be involved with racing. And I think that that's one thing these radio shows bring a lot of light to, Jason, is you can be involved and you can get involved. There's always a job opportunity open at a racetrack. One of the things that we've looked at over the last couple of years is the lack of young people coming into the sport and willing to offer their time or services. I know I'm an announcer. I've come in 5 years ago, and yet have I seen a new announcer come on board. So that just shows that the growth in racing right now in the employee side of it or the volunteer work, it's still, we need more people involved. So if you're feeling like you think you'd be good at lining up race cars and just want to smell that fuel all day, well, you go contact your local track and see if there's a job for you that can be offered. A lot of times, in this business, it's not a paying job from the start. I think racing is very unique in itself, and there's a lot of internship. It's just like your buddy. You may work on that car all week long, but you still got to pay your own pit pass to get through the back gate. So you're the crew chief, but you still got to come out $35 to get into the pits. For most racers, and it's an involvement of everybody. I'm sure that some guys pay for their crew chiefs, and if I had a big time sponsor on the car, I'd make sure that my crew chief was paid as well. But this is the real world, and there are guys who stow up and they do everything they can just to get in that back gate back there. So those are the guys we want to pay homage to too. The hard workers, the Monday through Fridays, the 45, 50-hour week guys that tinker in their race car after supper, and Mama has to come out there to the garage, say, "Come on inside. It's time to go to bed," and then they show up on Friday or Saturday night and race their hearts out. That's what keeps racing alive. Is those people that may not finish first every weekend, but they are there and you can guarantee you'll find them over there in their little pit spot all year long. Those are the type of people that you need to get to know when you're at the racetrack. If you see the same guy in the same pit stall and you're a fan and you went to last year and you're like, hey, he's there, that's probably a local guy, and you can go up to them as long as they're not tinkering on the race car or something and actually have a one-on-one conversation with a lot of these guys. They're humble, they're great. I can tell you 15 names where you could just walk up to them and they would treat you like they knew you your whole life. So racing is a very unique sport. It also is a sport of opportunity. If somebody like me can come in with very little knowledge of the actual sport in itself and the rules of it and be as successful as I have or I feel that I have, I think other people could maybe have that opportunity as well. You just have to, work it and make sure all your bases are covered. My wife comes into the studio here and she's got one of our original yellowcautionflag.com shirts. That was actually, it was a prototype shirt, right, Mom? Yeah, so it's lasted 4 or 5 years, guys. The reason why I say something about this shirt right here is because there's a lot of those racers back there, and you could pay for their pit pass for one time if you would go back there and purchase your family some T-shirts. Yeah, that's right, Tuesday Night Live with Cautionelle Flaggerford. That was Miss Becky. She helped sponsor that show. That was one of our very first shows where we went out on our own. Just a little bit of memory there. But like I said, if you want to support your driver and you don't want to sponsor him, go back there and buy a T-shirt or a hat from him. That sales goes directly, I guarantee you, into his race car. One of the most unique conversations I've ever had was with a driver, a Creighton late model driver. And he said, other than buying my car initially, my wife, she says that if I buy parts for the car, I've got to win the money. They don't put any of their own money into the race car. So if he needs new shocks, he's got to go out there and race for the new shocks. And let me tell you something, guys. That's an affordable racer right there. And I promise you, if I said his name on the air, you would all be shocked because he's a man that's been known to sit on many poles out there at Why Not Motorsports. So it's definitely an opportunity to race affordably. I've seen a lot of rule changes in the last couple of years that have really drivers, you need to take notice. These track owners are making rules that are affordable for the racer. I've not seen in the last couple of years from tracks necessarily trying to make rules that didn't make sense, that wasn't necessarily affordable for the racer. So, guys, give the track owners a lot of credit as they make their rules, that they're giving you opportunities to race more affordably. There will always be those racers that go out there and try to outspend everybody. They can go out there and try to spend all the money they want to, but it's the passion that gets you to the front. And we've all seen how a driver will start in the rear and race his way to the front. Sometimes it's that inner gut. Sometimes it's just the drive. I've seen a lot of guys get stumped on their toe and go win a race. Well, they were furious about something, and that's kind of what drove them to be successful. Man, I tell you what, we're down to 10 minutes left in the show, Jason. I think we've pretty well covered a lot of stuff here tonight.
Yeah, you're going at it. You're doing your thing. You talked a little bit earlier how the racing community kind of took you in and everything else, and you and I have had a couple of discussions. And I don't want everybody, as wonderful as this is, having the opportunity to sit here and do radio shows and be part of the media. And, of course, the media catches a lot of hell just because you have a lot of people out there that they twist things or publish things just to get their name out there, maybe not the best ethical way of doing things, and the articles ain't the most ethical way. But, we've had this discussion, the ups and downs. And what's been some of the things, obstacles you've had to overcome to be where you're at right now?
You just have to persevere. Look, everywhere you go in whatever business you're in, you always have that guy. And let me tell you who that guy is. That guy is the guy that was sitting in the classroom that told you your mama was ugly, and you got mad and you yelled at him, and then you got in trouble. That guy is the guy that you worked with next to at your job, and he took credit for your work. That guy is everywhere you go in life. And when you figure out that guy will be wherever you go, I think that's kind of how you stay positive. People, first thing they want to do is knock you for success. They want to take the stool out from up underneath you. And in this business, you can't brag. I mean, if you brag, you're setting yourself up for failure. I believe that wholeheartedly. If I go out there and say, I'm going to give out the best media this year that anybody's ever done, well, I'm probably going to be sitting on my face in July. So I think the best way to do is to, not to worry about the failures, not to worry about the people that come in and try to, pull strings or get you run out of the business. If you stay ethical and if you stay truthful, if you stay reasonable for a public figure, then you're always going to have that 10 to 20% of people that don't like you. Somebody told me something a long time ago. They said, everybody says they hate me, but the same 100 people that hate me today are going to be the same 100 people that hate me tomorrow. So why do I let it bother me? I don't. And I felt the same way. There's going to be people out there that dislike you. There's going to be people that get in your way. But that's just like a racer. If you're going off into turn 3 and you've got a lap car in front of you, that guy is racing for position. He is racing for, well, maybe he's not a lap car. Maybe you're the leader and you're fixing to lap him. He's racing his off to not let you by. He's not just going to open the door for you. He's racing his heart out. So whatever you're at, whether you're the last car on the lead lap or you're the first car, you've got to always understand you're racing for something. And victory can be found in so many little things, and victory is always found the most when you feel like you've accomplished more than what people ever could have given you credit for, what you could have given yourself credit for. Because if you're that guy fixing to get a lap down and you are able to outrace the leader until you get a caution, didn't you just win the race? I mean, you won your own race there tonight, didn't you? So that's kind of how you have to look at things, Jason. And I've had a lot of people that have knocked me. I believe I shared something with you a couple of weeks back of somebody that they really gave me a hard time about a year or so ago. And when you first get in this business, let me tell you, it is, you have to stay positive because people will ridicule you. They'll knock you down. They'll ask you why you're not sharing their stuff. And so it's always like this imbalance of imperfection. So you're always having to balance the imperfection and still try to overcome and bring good things out. Because if these people are complaining about something, it's my job to look at it and say, am I doing this wrong or are they just complaining? If they're just complaining, it's overlooked. If I'm doing something wrong, self-evaluation in this business, I think, is the number one key to success. Evaluate yourself. Listen to other people and their complaints. If their complaint is useless and pointless and that's what they do with everybody, don't give it any mind. If somebody has a good point and says, well, Chris, you talk over your guests too much, hey, listen to them. That's how you grow in this business. So I think there's a such thing as called as constructive criticism. I think I use that word a lot. And that has been what makes me successful. I tell you, there's nothing better than proving people wrong. Is that right or wrong, Jason?
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
I love to prove people wrong.
I've had so many people say that this will never go anywhere, and you're just wasting your time and wasting your money and everything else. And April 15th we'll hit 5 years, and so obviously I'm doing something right. If we're still
right,
here,
and Jason, that's really crazy that you said that because you want to talk about relating points. 5 years ago I was in the same position. I was working a regular man's job, wondering how I was ever going to be what I dreamed, what I dreamed of being. I dreamed of being something, and I just didn't know what it was. And then I started, I kind of got this little vision, and it started from there. And people were like, Chris, you're crazy. You're crazy. You're not ever going to make anything of this. But it didn't matter to me at the time. I just wanted to be better at what I was doing, and I enjoyed what I was doing. It was a great pastime that turned into a full-time job.
Yeah.
5 years ago, though, I was like you. I didn't know where I was going with it, but it was definitely an idea, and I didn't see anybody else doing it, and I understood that if I could get ahead of the curve and get ahead of some of these people, I might could teach them a few things, and I think I've done what I set out to do.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, no matter how many hours I put in a week at this, I don't look at it as a job. I look at it as this is, what I want to do. This this is more of a I don't even want to use career because it is so much more than that to me. It's my passion. It's my desire, and I can sit here as long as there's a roof over my head and food on the table. I make it as little as possible or as much as possible, and still be content as long as everything's taken care of. It's got to be taken care of.
Yeah, definitely. I seen a post the other day that said racing is my mistress. If you got a wife and you got kids and you got racing, you don't have time for nothing else. You are booked. So I can only imagine with as much as you got your hands in and with the whole sports network. I know that it's you probably endured just as many setbacks and obstacles as I have.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Well, guys, that was the Dirt Talk Hour right there, and we sure do appreciate all of you race fans for listening. We'll have an announcement in 2 days from now who will be on next week's show. We've got about 45 seconds left here. I want to thank 110 Nation. I want to thank Snafu Seasoning, because without them, I couldn't even have the opportunity to come to 110 Nation. So they're not our sponsor, but they are an official sponsor of 110 Nation. So I want to thank yellowcautionflag.com. I want to thank Damion Bean for not showing up tonight. I want to thank Miss Lee and all the other people. I want to thank all of you listeners, Tammy and all y'all that come over and listen to the show. Thank y'all. We'll get this thing in gear. We'll build this show up, and help wanted, looking for a co-host. Thank y'all for listening to the Dirt Talk Hour. Mid-season, I'll have it right, the Dirt Talk Hour. We need to quit changing our name so much. I know, Chris, we need to quit changing our name so much. But anyway, guys, thank you again for listening. Same bad time, same bad place. Next week, Sunday night, 8 p.m. Central Time. That's 9 p.m. Eastern Time of the Dirt Talk Hour by yellowcautionflag.com and the 110 Nation Sports Group. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see y'all next week.
Geico presents sharing versus oversharing. Way early this morning, Brad Higdon shared a major spoiler alert from everyone's favorite hit show, sad emojis to express his feelings about the plot twist, and a playlist he made to drown out his sorrows? Dude, oversharing alert. Brad, Geico has something worth sharing with those who haven't befriended you, like how you could save hundreds on your car insurance at geico.com. So stop moping about the post-apocalyptic world and start saving in the real world. Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.